بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of history of Shia Islam. The last dynasty for this period is Aali Kia Dynasty. They ruled in northern Iran, in the province of Gilan and parts, sometimes also Mazandaran, under Caspian Sea, from 769 after Hijrah up to 1000. So for more than 200 years. They were Sayyids and they were progeny of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. They had Zaydi madhab, and later when Safavids were in power, they became Ithna Ashari. Also, maybe from beginning they had tendency toward Ithna Ashari because, as I said in the last session, they were inspired by Mar'ashis. Mar'ashis were inspired by Sarbedaran, and Sarbedaran and Mar'ashis, they were Imami, so Sarbedaran were 12ers. Therefore, they had inspiration from 12ers, but they were them Zaydis, and finally they became also 12ers. The first person that tried to gain independence in that part of Iran and form a government was Sayyid Amir Kia. Kia in local language means like Amir, means kind of someone who has, high position, respected position. It is used for king, it is used for governor, it's used for Amir, it's used for Hakim. Sometimes it was used also for ulama, and so these Sayyids who were ruling in Gilan, they were called Kia or sometimes Kar Kia. So Sayyid Amir Kia was the first one who resisted against the local governor Nasirwand and managed to establish this dynasty. When Taymurids, especially Shahrukh, were ruling, they somehow collaborated with them and they become tax collectors for Taymurids. During the Safavid reign, initially they had very good relation with Safavids and they were ruling great part of northern Iran. But in the year 943 after Hijrah, when Khan Ahmad, there were two Ahmad kings in this dynasty. When the first one, Khan Ahmad, the first, was ruling, relation with Safavids went to decline. he didn't obey King Tahmasp, the Safavid king, King Tahmasp. There was a battle between them, and he was defeated and was put in prison. In the year 984, the son of King Tahmasp became king, who was called Muhammad Khudabande. But this is different from Sultan Muhammad Khudabande Ul Jaito that we talked before, who was one of the Mongol kings. No, he is the son of Shah Tahmasp. When he became the king, he released this Khan Ahmad the first, and he again managed to rule part of northern Iran. Then Shah Abbas the Safavid, very famous and powerful Safavid king, Shah Abbas, when he became the king, he was upset with Khan Ahmad II because the king was aware that he is working somehow with Ottomans, and there was conflict between Ottoman emperors and Safavid kings. There was always rivalry and conflict, and because also Safavids were Shia and Ottoman emperors were Sunni, sometimes it affected Sunni-Shia relation also. And some of the Shiites under the Ottoman emperors sometimes had difficulties, sometimes they had to hide their identity. And there is discussion here that how maybe some Alawites who used to be Twelvers, because they had to keep their identity secret, they were not able to teach, to educate, maybe little by little they lost connection with the Twelvers. In any case, when King Abbas, Shah Abbas Safavi, who was ruling between 996 to 1038, when was aware that this Sayyid Ahmad Kia is working or has some relation with the Ottomans, so he was very angry and wanted to attack, and he was aware that he cannot resist, so he ran away to Sherwan. And in the year 1000, Safavids managed to finish these local dynasties, and all Iran became under one rule, Safavid rule. Okay, this is a little bit about Aali Kia. There are more discussions, if someone wants to study. One of the interesting things is that the capital was the city of Lahijan. Lahijan is one of the very beautiful cities in northern Iran, close to Rasht, which is the center of the province of Gilan, and it is the capital of tea in Iran. The first time it seems that tea was planted in Iran, in Lahijan. It's a very beautiful city. So they made Lahijan their center or their capital. In other sources, we have some information about, for example, when they became Twelvers, which is not in our book, but in other books, you can find. And there are different speculations, and some people think that maybe the first Khan Ahmad had more tendency towards this 12 verse. Some people say second Khan Ahmad. There is a waqf name, a letter of waqf, endowment document. When they use, when they make waqf even today, then there's a document, what's the purpose, how it should be used, etc., will be supervising, etc. There is a document of waqf which is attributed to first Ahmad Khan. This document is dated 914 Hijri. In Christian calendar becomes 1508. You see the names of 12 Imams are there. And they refer to 12 Imams as guides for those who want to reach the truth. And it is also mentioned that it should be used for promoting the school of Ithna Ashari. So this is one evidence that even in the Khan Ahmad I, there was tendency toward the school of 12ers. Okay, let's go back to the book. After finishing the discussion about dynasties of this era, we start studying Shia scholars of this era. We are talking about 6th century, 7th, 8th century, 8th century, and 9th century. Okay, this is this unit. The first scholar that we want to discuss is Sayyid ibn Tawus, Rizwanullah ta'ala alayh. Sayyid ibn Tawus is one of great scholars of the 7th century, although he lived also a little in 6th century because he was born 589. So for 11 years he was in the 6th century, but then 46 years in the 7th century. He passed away in 646. So he had short life compared to many ulama. So he had only 57 years when he passed away, but still had huge impact. From father's side, his genealogy goes back to Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba alayhi salam. From mother's side, he goes back to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So he has this honor of being connected to two Imams. He is very highly respected by our scholars because of his knowledge, because of his taqwa. He is considered by many ulama as Jamalul Arifin, beauty of the mystic, or Sayyid Ahl al-Muraqabah, because he was very much into muraqabah, watching himself and monitoring himself. Even it is said that he was very much trying to distance himself from unnecessary engagement with the worldly affairs, although he was paying attention to worldly affairs. Even he has a book for his, his own family about history, and he advised them to keep it hidden from people that are not known to be positive about them, who have husn zan about them. So, Sayyid Ahlul Muraqabah, Jamalul Arifin, he was very much into dua and akhlaq. His books of dua are some of the most important sources of dua, like Iqbal. In Mafatih, you see many times he quotes from Iqbal of Sayyid ibn Tawus. He wrote and compiled supplementary to Misbah al-Mutahajjid by Sheikh Tusi, which was a great book of dua. He made a supplementary for that, whatever, was missing there or he thought he should add. Sayyid ibn Tawus Rizwanullah ta'ala alayh lived during two Abbasid caliphs and then after them with Hulaku Khan. Al-Mustansir and Al-Musta'asim. These were two Abbasid caliphs of his time. It should be noted that there was a Shia scholar called Ibn al-Qami. Ibn al-Qami. Muhammad ibn Ahmad ibn Muhammad, known as Ibn al-Qami. He was a Shia learned person in the 7th century, and he was wazir, or you can say like prime minister for the last Abbasid caliph. And he helped a lot knowledge, literature, and in particular the school of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. He was respecting scholars. He was encouraging them to write books. He helped building masjids, schools, houses, hospital, places for storage of water. We call it Abanbar. Abanbar means places for storage. There are places which are very deep and they could store water when there is rain. Bridges. Something that might be very interesting for you is, because I think commentary of Ibn Abil Hadid al-Mu'tazili on Nahj al-Balagh. One of the best commentaries of Nahj al-Balagh is by this Mu'tazili scholar. He's not Shia, he's Mu'tazili. Ibn Abil Hadid, but he has beautiful commentary. He had, great knowledge, love for Amir al-Mu'mineen, respect, and Allah helped him with this. But it should be known that this Ibn al-Qami encouraged Ibn Abil Hadid. Therefore, Ibn Abil Hadid in his introduction praises Ibn al-Qami and uses expressions about him that show how much he respected Ibn al-Qami. And Ibn al-Qami also gave him gift. It is said that he gave him 1,000 coin from red gold, not yellow gold. It was very valuable. And dresses of honor. Or there was another Sunni scholar called San'ani. He wrote a book called Ubabun Zakhir wa Lubabun Fakhir, but dedicated to Ibn al-Qami, although he was a Sunni. So this Ibn al-Qami, because he was wazir, like prime minister of the Abbasid Caliph, so he tried to use his position to also introduce Sayyid ibn Tawus to Khalifa. And Khalifa respected very much Sayyid ibn Tawus. Even it is said that gave him a house in Baghdad and was respecting him, and even asked Sayyid ibn Tawus that be the chief mufti, at least maybe for the Shia, to be Naqib for Sayyids, in charge of Sayyids, and be very close to the Khalifa. But Sayyid ibn Tawus didn't accept these positions. As I said, he didn't want to get into politics. We have lots of things here that, why he didn't want to do this. When Hulaku Khan, the Mongol king that we said before, who attacked and killed the last Abbasid Caliph, you remember I told you, they told him, if you kill the Khalifa, there will be catastrophe in the world. So they said, okay, put him in a like namad, like a rug, and they squeezed him little by little. They said, if we see that there is a flood or a storm coming, we stop. Anyway, they killed him. Khalifa asked Sayyid ibn Tawus to be his ambassador to talk to Hulaku Khan to stop him. It is said that Sayyid ibn Tawus refused. They asked him, why you don't accept? He said, if I go there, if I succeed, there is problem. If I don't succeed, there is problem. If I succeed, then they want to give me always such tasks, and it will stop me from my own ibadah and amal. If I don't succeed, then they say I have betrayed. Or maybe I go there, then some people spread rumors that I have collaborated with the Mongols. Then you are going to prison me and poison me. So he had difficult time. He tried not to get involved into any position. In the year 656, the Abbasid system finally finished by Hulaku Khan. But Sayyid ibn Tawus managed to save some of the Shia, especially to prevent attack of Mongols on the city of Hilla. So he was clever and did great job to prevent him attacking the city of Hilla. Maybe he could not stop them attacking whole Baghdad and area, but at least he managed to do something to protect Hilla. And then at the time of Mongols, he accepted to become in charge of Sayyids and have some position. It is said it was because of ikrah, because like compulsion, and maybe because these Mongols were new, they were not even Muslims at that time, and he was worried that if he says no, they may do some harm. Anyway, he accepted at that time. He trained some of our great scholars. For example, Allama Hilli is one of the students of Sayyid ibn Tawus, Rizwanullah ta'ala alayh. One of the interesting things about Sayyid ibn Tawus is that he had a very good library. Maybe today you think it's a small. He had 1,500 books. But at that time was very important. And these books, a library of Sayyid ibn Tawus is very much referred to in different books. Even I was reading that one of the famous Orientalists, Ethan Kohlberg, and he's famous for his work on Shia Islam, etc. So he was trying to document each of the books which were in the library of Sayyid ibn Tawus. And I found, let me check the exact number. Yeah. He says in his book, which is about the library of Sayyid ibn Tawus, 670 of the titles. So out of 1500, he has made an index of 670 of the books in the library of Sayyid ibn Tawus. Recently, also one more book was known. It was found in Turkey, and it is handwritten manuscript by Sayyid ibn Tawus, and his handwriting is there, and he had made waqf, he had made endowment. So this is also something interesting about Sayyid ibn Tawus, that he had this library, and he was using this library for his knowledge, for compiling books, etc. One of the things that also is interesting to know is about where Sayyid ibn Tawus was buried. Right now, there is a place attributed to Sayyid ibn Tawus in the city of Hilla, and it is written as Sayyid Aali ibn Tawus, because Sayyid ibn Tawus was Ali ibn Musa ibn Ja'far ibn Tawus. But some ulama have doubted. They said Sayyid ibn Tawus himself is buried in Najaf. This might be the grave of his son, because he had a son, he called his son also Ali. But he himself seems to be buried in Najaf. Why? Because Sayyid ibn Tawus, in his book Falahus Sa'il, which is a book of dua and a'mal, he says that he has prepared a grave for himself next to the grave of Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Okay? So he has prepared a grave for himself next to the grave of Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. This is one evidence. Plus, Ibn Fawti has a book, Al-Hawadith al-Jami'ah. He reports that the body of Sayyid ibn Tawus, after he died, was moved to Najaf and buried in the shrine of Amirul Mu'mineen. So, what he said, that he had prepared a grave for himself in Najaf. And what this historian says, make it almost certain that the grave in Hilla is not for him. Might be for his son, because he was also Sayyid Ali ibn Tawus, because Tawus was their grandfather. So, inshallah, in the next session we continue with another great scholar of this era, Khaja Nasiruddin Tusi. May Allah elevate their position, and may Allah inshallah enable us to benefit from their legacy, their teachings, their books, their good akhlaq, inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.